Omar L wasn't born a monster. He grew up in the narrow streets of Amsterdam-West, where survival came before dreams. His parents had migrated years earlier, looking for peace. But the city that promised opportunity gave Omar something else: temptation. From a young age, he watched older boys driving cars they didn't buy, wearing gold they didn't earn. The smell of easy money drew him in like perfume on a windy street. Omar didn't finish school, but he was never stupid. He learned faster than any teacher could teach: how to lie, how to fight, how to run. The street became his classroom, and gang members his tutors. By 16, Omar already knew who to avoid, who to respect, and who to betray. He learned the golden rule: trust no one. That rule would save him more than once. His first job wasn't grand. It was a small delivery, one bag, one location. He didn't ask what was inside. He didn't need to. The man who handed him the package whispered, "Don't open it, don't talk, just deliver." When Omar returned with the cash, the man smiled and handed him 500 euros. That moment changed him. He realized crime paid faster than any honest job. It wasn't long before Omar crossed paths with names that made the police nervous: Benaouf A, Nafel F, and Gwinnett Martha. They were the heart of what the media would later call the Mocro Mafia. Omar was the youngest, but he was fearless. The others respected that. Slowly, he began to earn his place among the dangerous. Every gangster gets caught once. Omar's came during a failed street deal. The police kicked down a door, found weapons, and dragged him out. But Omar didn't talk. Not even one word. The older members respected that silence. When he got out months later, he was treated like a soldier returning from war. By his mid-20s, Omar had become more than just a street boy. He had men under him: runners, drivers, and lookouts. He wasn't the biggest in the game, but he was bold. He began stepping on the territories of other names, especially the Benaouf network. That was his first mistake. In Amsterdam's underworld, ambition often leads to blood. What made Omar dangerous wasn't just his gun. It was his charm. He could smile at you while planning your downfall. He began working with one group during the day and giving information to their rivals at night. The streets whispered, "Omar plays both sides." Those whispers grew into fear. At one point, Omar partnered with Nafel F, a man known for quick killings and colder decisions. Together, they took over a small cocaine route from Antwerp to Rotterdam. For a while, it was perfect. Money flowed, trust seemed real. But in the underworld, forever lasts until one person gets greedy. A shipment worth millions disappeared. Nafel accused Omar of betrayal. Omar denied it. But in the streets, accusations are enough to sign a death warrant. The alliance ended violently. Cars burned, warehouses raided, and bodies found in canals. Omar survived, but his peace didn't. Omar went underground. For months, he slept in different houses every week. He used fake names, wore hats, avoided cameras. Yet, no matter how far he ran, the streets kept whispering his name. Gwinnett Martha was killed. Benaouf A was locked up. Omar knew. His turn was coming. One evening, Omar received a call from a contact in Marbella, Spain, a known haven for Dutch gangsters. "Come here, bro." "Too hot in Amsterdam," the man said. Omar thought about it, but he couldn't leave. He still had unfinished business, a debt of revenge. Omar trusted very few people. One of them was Layla, a woman who helped launder money through fake beauty salons. But Layla overheard something she shouldn't have: plans for a hit. When Omar found out, it was too late. She had already told someone connected to the police. Dutch police had been chasing ghosts for years, but now they had a name: Omar L. They connected him to several shootings, one involving rivals of the Benaouf clan. But catching him was difficult. Omar changed cars like socks and never used the same phone twice. By 2013, Amsterdam wasn't the same. Ordinary people feared walking past coffee shops where gangsters met. There were car bombs, drive-by shootings, and midnight assassinations. Omar's name floated around most of them. He wasn't always the shooter, but he always knew who was. When Boo Boo was gunned down in Antwerp, whispers said Omar had something to do with it. Boo Boo was close to Ben Aouf's circle, and Omar had motives. Whether true or not, the label stuck. From that day, Omar became one of the most hunted men in the Dutch underworld. In Omar's world, silence wasn't golden. It was survival. Talking meant dying. So even when police raided his safe houses, Omar said nothing. "You can't arrest a ghost," he would tell them with a smirk. One of Omar's own men sold him out for 20,000 euros. He told detectives where Omar would be one Friday night. But luck was still on Omar's side. The raid came 15 minutes late. When the police stormed in, all they found was a burning cigarette and an open window. Eventually, Omar did move to Spain. There, he met exiled figures from the Dutch scene, men like Saeed Razouki and other fugitives. They spoke about rebuilding power. Omar wanted back in. But power in exile is like smoke. It looks thick until you try to grab it. Even from Spain, Omar's name echoed in Amsterdam. His younger associates kept his roots alive. His enemies kept plotting. Every bullet that flew in the city seemed to have a trace leading back to him. Spanish police finally caught Omar in a luxury apartment in Marbella. The arrest was quiet, without drama. But back in the Netherlands, newspapers exploded with headlines. Rival gangster captured in Spain. The public sighed in relief. The underworld just adjusted. During interrogation, Omar remained calm. "You think you know me," he said, "but you don't even know who killed your own men." Investigators couldn't break him. Without witnesses, without fingerprints, Omar was like a shadow they couldn't hold. When his case came to court, many refused to testify. People were too scared. One witness vanished before trial. Another changed his story. In the end, Omar was convicted for smaller charges, not murder. Justice once again felt incomplete. Even in prison, Omar controlled more than most free men. Phones were smuggled in, messages sent, debts collected. Guards whispered his name in fear. To the underworld, he was still Boss Omar. While Omar sat behind walls, the world outside burned. Ben Aouf's people were attacked. Razouki was hunted. The Mocro Mafia began eating itself alive. Omar watched it unfold, half proud, half disgusted. "Everyone wants to be king," he said once, "but nobody wants to die." Prison has a strange way of softening or hardening a man. For Omar, it did both. Some nights he prayed, other nights he planned. He often wondered, if he had taken that call to move to Spain earlier, would his story be different? His mother still sent him letters. "Omar, my son, when will this end?" she wrote. But Omar didn't reply. He couldn't face the shame of what he had become. A man feared by all, loved by none. As years passed, many of Omar's old rivals disappeared. Some killed, others fled. The streets that once buzzed with his name grew quiet. But even in silence, the legend of Omar remained. New gangs took over Amsterdam, young, ruthless, and careless. They didn't follow the old codes. Omar watched from prison, realizing the world he built was gone, replaced by chaos without loyalty. Authorities believed Omar had millions stashed across Europe, but no one ever found it. Some said he hid it in crypto. Others believed trusted women guarded it for him. The mystery added to his legend. Documentaries and journalists began to retell his story, painting him as both villain and victim. Omar's name sold papers. To him, it didn't matter. "They write my story," he said once, "but I'm still living it." Even from his cell, Omar arranged small revenges. Betrayers disappeared, Debts were paid in bullets. His control wasn't total, but enough to remind people. Omar still breathes. Sometimes he would stare at the ceiling, wondering if the power was worth it. The money, the fame, the fear, none could buy peace. But then he would smile. "Peace is for the dead," he'd whisper. To Dutch investigators, Omar symbolized the new wave of organized crime. International, invisible, intelligent. They respected his mind, even as they hunted it. Years later, one of his closest men gave a detailed interview, exposing Omar's network. It wasn't police work that ended him. It was loyalty's death. When Omar was transferred to another prison under heavy security, he laughed and said, "You can cage a lion, but you can't change his roar." Those were his last words to the public. New names replaced his in the headlines. But among old gangsters, Omar's story still meant something. A warning about pride, greed, and ambition. The roots he built still operate. The methods he used are copied. In crime, legacy doesn't die, it mutates. Every empire has a cost. Omar paid his with freedom, blood, and family. He rose through crime but lost everything human on the way. Ask the old guard in Amsterdam about Omar L, and they'll all say the same thing. He was dangerous, but clever. He played the game too well. In the end, that was his curse. Today, Omar's name drifts like smoke through the alleys he once ruled. The new generation doesn't fear him, but they walk in the world he built. And though Omar sits behind bars, his legend walks free.